He's Jared Smith. This is Let's Bet It. Make sure you download the Pickswise app available on the Apple Store and Google Play. Subscribe to the Pickswise YouTube channel and let us know in the comments what picks you love and hate that we are going to give out. Joe, we're going to give out a couple today. But before we get into all that, Jared, you just got some breaking news.
Yeah.
As a Jets fan, Joe Flacco getting the start for your Jets. How are you feeling?
Not great. Rich Cimini does a great job covering the Jets. Just tweeted it out. I just got the alert on my phone. It's almost like, I subscribe to pain with the Jets news alerts. I guess it's because they just don't like Mike White anymore. Like the Mike White season ended, like before it began, we hardly knew ye. But it's going to be Joe Flacco against the Dolphins this week. You grew up loving the Ravens. You've probably watched Joe Flacco for years. What do you think?
That's a Super Bowl champion we're talking about here. But
I agree, man. I guess they could do worse with backup. It seems like a very hasty move considering all the rage was Mike White for the last 2 weeks. And it's just like they don't even give him a chance to face. Like he faced the Bills, who are arguably the best defense in the league. And now he gets the Dolphins that are not the best defense in the league. Maybe give him a chance to give him another start. I don't like that move, but again, that's why I'm here and not coaching the team.
He must not be right. I mean, that's the only answer.
I guess.
But then what's I'm trying to. Is it Josh Johnson?
Josh Johnson would be the backup, I guess, this week. I mean, maybe Mike White's hurt. I don't know. I didn't read enough into the story to know why it's not Mike White. They just said Wilson's not 100% and it's going to be Flacco. So I'll unfortunately research this later today and have to get back to some people on it.
But to see if Joe Flacco still got any juice. That's why I'm curious.
Maybe he looks great on Sunday. It is the Dolphins, but they did look good against your Ravens last week. So who knows?
All right, we're moving on as we bring up. You don't need to bring me down.
I'm bringing you down with the ship. If I'm burning with Flacco, you're burning too, Alex.
All right, well, we got a lot to get to today. We're gonna obviously talk some MACtion. Then we're gonna have a friend join the show, Julian Edlow, as we talk some NBA, some college basketball, and then of course we're gonna finish this show off by giving out our play of the day. So without further ado, let's bet it. And let's start with MACtion. I love some MACtion. Nothing quite. I mean, listen, I was having the perfect night last night. I mean, as perfect as a Tuesday night could get, I guess. Main screen. We got Warriors, Nets. Wish that was a better game. I mean, but watching Steph Curry and that's all.
He was tremendous last night.
On the second screen, we got Toledo. I mean, what more can you ask for? You got MACtion, and then you got some NBA going. So what do you like tonight? As we got a couple matchups tonight to choose from.
Yeah, so I was looking at this Buffalo NIU game, and on paper, NIU's look great. They're on the verge of clinching a spot in the MAC title game. Everything's going really well for this Husky squad. But again, when I looked at the line, it was curiously tight. And it got tighter and tighter throughout the day. In fact, I saw it open 2.5. Huskies were favored, and now I'm seeing it basically as a pick'em. And that kind of, raised the red flag a little bit because I'll be honest, there's not a lot of good things to say about this Buffalo team this year. They're sitting on 6 losses, and we talked about that being the motivating factor for a lot of teams to maybe wake up because they know if they lose that 7th game, they will not be going bowling this year. But they've lost the last 2 games by a combined 39 points. And I'm not making my handicap any stronger here because I'm picking the Bulls. But when I looked a little deeper into the defenses, I noticed that NIU really struggles to stop the run. So does Buffalo. Both teams are going to want to run the ball. You know what Buffalo's done in prior years with their running game with Jarrett Patterson, who's in the NFL right now. Obviously not quite the same, output for this Buffalo running team this year. But I do like what the Bulls do on third downs, and that's been a handicap, a stat that I've looked a little deeper in this year in college football because third down usually sets up fourth down, and if teams can convert on third down, it really eases the offense a little bit. And based on the narrative, again, I think this line should be higher, but it's not. So I'm going to take the bait here, I guess, and I'm going to bite on the Bulls. I got them at minus 105 on the money line. Again, this isn't a pick that I would go crazy with. But the line analysis here and the motivation with Buffalo tells me they're going to win tonight.
It's the MAC. When you think everything's going one way, 80% of the time it goes the opposite way. Is that game in Buffalo or is that?
It is, and that helps, I think. And again, the weather here in New York City area is kind of calm tonight. You never know what it's going to be like up in Buffalo. But both teams really like to run the ball, so I don't think weather is going to be too much of a factor, even if it is, hairy or cold or windy up there along the lake. But I do like that Buffalo is at home tonight. And again, I think that motivational factor of having 6 losses, we're going to talk about it a lot later this week with some other teams. But these teams want to go to a bowl game. They get the swag, they get the travel, they get to practice more. It's important for the coaches. It's important for recruiting. So I think you're going to see Buffalo's best effort tonight. NIU is on the verge of clinching that MAC title game, berth. They're already going to a bowl game. They've got 7 wins. So I'm not as concerned with motivation there.
I think they need one more win to clinch.
Yeah, and they can get it next week too. So
right, that's what I'm saying. So I think this may be a situation. Hungry dog runs fast. That might be.
I agree. And the line analysis tells me this line should be 3 or higher. And it should be moving in NIU's favor because on paper, they are the better team and they've had the better season. But sometimes when those lines are a little fishy, a little stinky, you have to go in the other direction. And that's what I'm going to do tonight with Buffalo.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna go to 2 teams that are going to be watching, paying attention to that game closely. Someone on that staff's going to be paying attention to that game because they're right behind NIU, Central Michigan, Ball State. I'm going to roll with the chips. I'm going to fire up the chips tonight. I'm just going to lay – I'm not comfortable with the line, so I'm going money line. Right now I'm seeing it at minus 120. This line flipped. Ball State was laying 2.5 points yesterday, and now, Central is laying 1.5 points. So don't really love that. So I'm just going to play this one safe. I would have gladly taken the 2.5 points if I was focused on yesterday, but I was – too locked in on my Toledo and Bowling Green picks. Bowling Green, you let me down. But yeah, so interesting with what's going on there. But the past couple of weeks when I've watched Central, you watch these games, and I feel like, especially in conferences like the MAC, pretty much from the first quarter who's the hammer and who's the nail.
Yeah,
Central's been the hammer the past 2 weeks, and the big reason why they're running back Lou Nichols III. Freshman back, get this, 1,300 yards this season, ran for 215 last week and 4 touchdowns against Kent State. 7 games this season, over 130 yards, and has gone over 150 yards 5 times. He's the dude. He's their dude. Their quarterback's also been playing well. That offense, I really just like how they play. They play physical on defense. They bring a lot of pressure. So I really just like what I've seen from this Central Michigan team. Haven't seen a whole lot of Ball State. Central is going to be going on the road there, but I like what I've seen from Central. And again, they want to get this win because they want to stay in the mix. Both of these teams are in the mix for that spot and potentially in the MAC championship game. So it should be a good one, but I'm going to go with the chips.
Yeah, and the market definitely agrees with you. Anytime you see a line flip, even though it hasn't gotten to 3, if it gets to 3, then yeah, you're certainly onto something, or at least the sharp money is certainly tailing the chips.
I'm good.
Nice. Yeah, I think it definitely looks like a game that both teams are kind of evenly matched, and the market's definitely on the side of the chips. So clearly, someone smart like Central Michigan out there in Vegas. So they certainly agree with you.
We got our producer, Jack, in the comments. Happy birthday, by the way, Jack.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot. The Jets news threw me off. It's our producer, Jack's birthday today. He didn't want to tell any of us, too. He wanted to hide it from us, but our other producer, Justin, uncovered that gem for us.
We needed that. He's asking, though, how do we feel about the over in the Central at 58.5? I hate taking unders in MAC games. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. If you took unders last night, you're probably feeling pretty good, but
I think they went 2-1 last night, the unders.
Yeah, 58.5.
It's dropped. It opened 61 and it's dropped since then. I'm seeing all the money on the under, so that doesn't surprise me. I guess it depends on what kind of pain tolerance that individual that asked.
I would stay away from any total because I don't like the over, but you're not going to catch me watching a MAC game.
MACtion unders are super hard to predict the pace and the tempo.
Random 2-point conversions, onside kicks out of nowhere. Crazy turnovers.
These games are the Super Bowls for these teams every year. They play early in the year. All these MAC teams play the noon games against the big teams where they get their butts kicked for the most part. And then they get these primetime games later in the year that are on national TV. And you know, they pull out all the stops for those games for sure. So I think betting unders, again, your pain tolerance, I don't know if you have an antacid with you, but I would, if you bet an under in a MACtion game, that's going to be your vibe.
And here's how you know that it's too crazy, because you know, if there's one thing anyone should know about me, I love unders.
Yeah, you and Lauren love the unders, especially college football
games, and just rooting against fun. And this is even too much for me. I can't even do it in these games. So
that's how you know you shouldn't bet an under in a MACtion. If Alex Glaze is saying even he can't handle it, probably should stay away.
Yeah. All right, well, let's move on and let's talk some NBA and welcome in our friend Julian Edlow from the Unreasonable Odds podcast. Let's get Julian in here real quick. Oh, wait, hold on. Julian is not with us just yet. So we got another question in the chat coming in. Why is MACtion so unpredictable with the scores?
Good question.
That's a great question. I think it again comes back to just the randomness of 2-point conversions, missed 30-yard field goals, missed extra. It's just everything.
A lot of missed field goals.
Onside kicks out of no. It's just everything is just nuts for no rhyme or reason. You know, I mean, obviously there is a rhyme or reason, but we don't know what it is. It doesn't always match what, you know, the analytics are saying or what you would think is going to happen. I think that's what makes MACtion so much fun. That's why people watch on Tuesday and Wednesdays.
100%. Now that we have a few seconds too before Julian hops on, we were talking about this before the show. Let's talk a little bit about the playoff committee's rankings last night, because they didn't put Cincinnati in again, and a lot of people are probably up in arms about that. Frankly, I think Cincinnati is probably the 7th team right now on my list. I put Michigan and Michigan State ahead of Cincinnati. The reason that I'm okay that they didn't is because the natural organic order of the Big Ten will sort that out eventually. Michigan State, you know, obviously is going to have some tough games down the stretch. Michigan has to play Ohio State. I think Michigan State, I would assume that they're going to get waxed this week against Ohio State. That's kind of the way I'm leaning there. And then Ohio State, Michigan in 2 weeks. But if you had to make your rankings today, would Cincinnati be in the top 4 for you?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Cincinnati should never, will never be in the college football playoff. They just shouldn't. Nobody
Not this year.
Nobody actually, and if not this year, they never will be. You know, are you telling me beating Notre Dame? You know, beating Notre Dame is what you're going to hang your hat on and why you should be in the playoff? Absolutely not. I just look at this Cincinnati team, and they've had a great year, and I don't like how college football's kind of turned to now, if you don't make the playoff, you had a bad year. I don't think that's fair, because there's only 4.
I agree with that.
Right? So I think that's already putting an unfair amount of pressure on teams to, you know, feel like they have to reach a certain threshold for success. And you're not going to reach that success by beating, you know, Notre Dame and Indiana. You shouldn't. And struggling with Navy, playing around with South Florida, nobody wants to actually see Cincinnati play, because they're going to get smoked. Are they beating Georgia? No. Well, I mean, is anyone beating Georgia? Are they beating Alabama? No. Are they beating Ohio State? No. You know, are they beating Oregon? Are they beating Michigan? I could go on. It's just, I like what Luke Fickell's done at Cincinnati, built a fine program, not a playoff team. I don't want to see it. Nobody wants to see it. That game would be an absolute bloodbath.
I agree.
Cincinnati's going to play in a New Year's Six bowl, right? More than likely. Yeah. And you know what? They're going to play great. And you know what the narrative is going to be in that game, depending on
they should have been in the playoff.
Because that team that they're going to play is going to sit out so many draft eligible players, and it's going to look a certain way, because that team also probably doesn't care about that game, when that is going to be the Super Bowl for Cincinnati. Similar to, was it Georgia last year?
Yeah. They sat out everyone in that game.
It's just like Georgia didn't care about that game. It's just, I don't know. It's a tough spot to be in. Do you see a spot where, do we get to a point where we get a group of 5 team in the current playoff format that's in? I don't see how that happens. I don't see. And
I think that, to me, that means that we need to expand the playoff. I've always believed that 6 is the right number, because I think it gives the top 2 teams, it gives you a reason to want to, you know, it gives the top 2 teams like an advantage which I think is important. You know, it's kind of like the playoff system we have in the NFL, where the number one team now used to be the top 2 teams get a bye. And I think that is the direction that I would move towards, because you can do 3 versus 6, 4 versus 5, 1, 2 get a bye. But the problem in college football is there's such an establishment with the current bowl system that it's hard for them to upset that apple cart. And also the way that the structure is with the practices and the games and the timing with, around the time of the year. It's just, there's a mess with we're going to blow it up eventually, and there will be
Here's
some.
the thing. If you expand the playoffs, in my opinion, you got to pay the players, because at that point, it would be about money, and it would be
and they're already going down that road where they're paying players. So we're getting there. It's just taking a lot longer than I think. Listen, change is slow. The slow wheels of justice. It's going to get there, but it'll just take some time.
Absolutely. The other reason I'm going to just keep on smashing Cincy, because I love nothing more than just crushing Cincy. Sorry if you didn't know that about me before today. I was watching their game on Friday. I watch these games, and they said on the broadcast that Luke Fickell told them that he doesn't like blowing out teams because he doesn't want to.
He doesn't want their feelings to get hurt.
He's apologized to Murray. He apologized to Murray State's head coach earlier this year because he felt like they ran the score up on them. If you're Cincinnati, you have to run the score up on these teams. So how much of this? Maybe Cincinnati is a good team or better than we know. Maybe Luke Fickell's just taking his stuff together. I don't know. But does he not have the awareness to know that you have to run it up and convincingly beat teams like Navy, like South Florida, to maybe make people think, oh, maybe they are for real. They're not in this class. They're a step above everybody else in the group of 5. Yeah, let's give them a shot, because maybe that's a blind spot for me. But when I've watched them this year, I mean, the Notre Dame game, obviously I was on them because I gave Lauren a hard time. But aside from that, I think that was more Notre Dame looking bad and Cincinnati looking good.
On your pecking order of teams you dislike, Cincinnati is slightly ahead of Notre Dame. Just slightly. Notre Dame's at the bottom, right?
I don't know. I really don't like Brian Kelly. I
don't blame you. His track record's not exactly one to write home about.
I had a tweet a couple of years ago, and then Julian's in here now, so we'll be moving on there. I had a tweet a couple of years ago. I think it was the Fiesta Bowl, and I think they just got smoked by Oklahoma.
Oh yeah, I remember that game.
And then there was a Gatorade bath, a Lincoln Riley at like midfield, and it was right in front of Brian Kelly. And I think that's the closest Brian Kelly will ever come to a game.
That's so bad. That's so bad. On that note,
let's move on and let's talk some NBA and welcome in our friend Julian Edlow, who is now.
There he is.
Julian,
what's up, buddy?
Good morning, gentlemen. How we doing?
Oh, lovely.
Lovely. How are you?
Just great. I'm moving offices in my home office. I'm battling with some sunlight in a curtainless room.
You look great, man. You look great. You got I don't know. You said a Celtics jersey back there. Who is that? Who is that behind you there?
That is a signed Paul Pierce jersey. Yeah,
nice.
A lot of Celtics memorabilia in the Edlow household. A couple of Paul Pierces up here. A new Draftkings guy, Paul Pierce.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah. Love it. Well, the green matches. So there you go. You got the green vibes going on there.
We're ready to go. It also matches a bet that I'm going to be on tonight as well.
Oh, big one for your Celtics tonight, huh?
All ties together a little bit. Is that where we want to go right now?
Let's roll.
Let's get right into it. Listen, you got a couple NBA picks. What you got?
Good transition right there. The Celtics were a team that were extremely frustrating if you were betting on them to begin the season. Jaylen Brown went off for almost 50. That ridiculously entertaining game against the Knicks that the Celtics lost. They had a back-to-back against the Wizards. They dropped them both. They lost their home opener to Toronto, getting blown out. Whatever it was, they kind of found something in that Heat game. When they hit rock bottom, nobody thought they would win that game in Miami, and they played very well, getting nothing from Tatum and with Jaylen Brown getting hurt in the game. Now, they followed that up, losing on the buzzer beater 3 to Luka Doncic. But that was a game, the Celtics, that was the first full game without Brown. They came out flat, but found something in the second half. I think they won the second half by 15, 17 points, something like that. And it's carried over. It's carried through. Tatum's been passing well out of the double team. He's been playing well without even making shots. The shot making has been an issue for Tatum early in the season, but the rest of the guys are stepping up. So with this Celtics team, I think I was on them last week against the Raptors. They played really well at home. I was on them in the game Friday night. They beat the Bucks. Laid off on the second night of the back-to-back in Cleveland. I was a little weary about that. I was like, they were up 18. It's like, I should have bet them. They completely come undone in the fourth quarter and lose without Al Horford. But then that's the ideal bounce back spot in the NBA. If you have these back-to-backs in the same city, they got the Cavs on Monday night. So here we are again with the Celtics with Jaylen Brown out, maybe a little bit of a look-ahead spot to the Lakers at home on Friday night. But the Hawks have not been good, man. Like, I don't know if we talk about how the foul rules are affecting Harden, and they're affecting Trae Young similarly.
Yeah.
And I think that has to do with some of it. But
defensively, they haven't been great either, though. That's the other thing. Like,
that's where I'm going.
Andre Hunter also going to be out for a couple weeks. That doesn't help them at all.
Right. The Hawks are all kind of dinged up. Trae Young's taking a step back. They're not playing well defensively, like you just said. So 4.5 with the Celtics in kind of a good groove right now. Playing through Tatum, short term, Brown off the floor, I think is a positive for this team. So getting the Celtics plus 4.5 in Atlanta, I like that a lot. The Celtics are going to play defense, and the Hawks aren't quite doing that right now.
The market likes it too, because I'm seeing a lot of handle coming on Atlanta, but that line's sharpened up.
Right.
So that I certainly like that pick. Another pick I really like, speaking of sharpening up, Chicago was getting 3. Now it's down to 1.5 at Portland tonight. To me, the Bulls have been a surprise team this year. Maybe not a surprise, but certainly a pleasant team to watch this year. What's your handicap tonight out west there in the Rose Garden?
Yeah, this is going to be – I haven't bet this one yet, but this is going to be Bulls or pass for me. And like you said, the number's going away a little bit. But as long as – I mean, anything up to like a pick 'em, I'm probably fine with here. Portland hasn't been good, but they've been – like the home road splits are ridiculous. They're 6-1 straight up at home, 1-7 on the road.
Wow.
So – fading Portland on the road, and it's 5-2 ATS at home, 1-7 ATS on the road. So just fading the Blazers on the road has been very profitable so far this season. Lillard hasn't quite been himself. I really wish Vucevic was playing in this game to kind of offset Nurkic a little bit.
Yeah.
But I mean, Lillard's banged up. He's questionable with the abdominal injury, I think, still. I would expect him to play. He played the other night. But he hasn't been himself. And the trio of wings that the Bulls have kind of put together has been one of the most efficient in the NBA, both defensively and offensively. Lonzo Ball keeps the ball moving. He's knocking down his shots. Zach LaVine has been, Zach LaVine, and DeMar DeRozan has been kind of that missing piece. He's taken his game to another level, kind of rejuvenating his career, getting out of that middling San Antonio team. Not even middling, just bad at this point, I guess. So
what do you think LeBron's thinking when he's watching DeMar DeRozan just tear it up? what could have been?
He's probably thinking that he can't wait to get back on the floor Friday night in Boston, because I already have my tickets and I hope LeBron plays.
Oh! Make some money selling those things now. Buy low, sell high on those, Julian.
I got an extra pair. I put it out on Twitter yesterday. I'm like, I had an extra pair. Some friends bailed. I'm trying to get rid of them.
Should I come up? Should I hop on the Parkway or the New Jersey Turnpike?
It's gonna be a good game. We'll see what happens tonight in Atlanta. But Celtics look ahead spot right there. Probably be on them on Friday night. But we digress. Bulls, Blazers. Chicago's 4-1 against the spread in their last 5 games. They seem to handle whatever's in front of them. Tony Bradley, I guess, is going to be the center now with Vucevic out. He'll be the guy. As long as I don't need anything from him on the offensive end, we need him to just kind of limit Nurkic a little bit, rebound with him. The efficiency of the Bulls has just been for real. So I'm going to keep backing them until they kind of run into a flat spot.
I love those picks that you just gave out.
Yeah.
Now you can tell me what you hate about this pick, because this is the squares of the square picks. I
love square picks.
I am a sucker, and I know
squares win sometimes too.
It's too good to be true. Suns -8 tonight against the Mavs. No Luka. Suns one of the hottest teams in the league right now. Won 9 straight. I think they've won 5 straight at home. I think off the top of my head, I think it's 5. But it's just like coming off 3 straight road wins. It's a no-brainer just because the no Luka for me. 8 points. I mean, I love this Suns team. So why not? Suns -8 tonight.
Yeah, I mean, you can't be backing the Mavericks right now, so it's Suns or pass. No Luka's huge. Now, I will say there's been a lot of spots in the NBA this year where, and this doesn't fit it because we knew that Doncic was out, so the number's appropriate, but like, how many times is Joel Embiid going to get ruled out? Giannis ruled out on Friday. That one actually worked in favor of the Celtics, but these stars get ruled out, and you smash a good number before it goes off the board or gets blown up, and the other team gets there. The other side gets there without their star. Like, it happens. So it's the first game without Luka. We'll see how the Mavericks can rally. Like, they have bodies, but yeah, I mean, the Suns are playing very well. They've been even better at home. They should get this done. If you are building a parlay on Wednesday night, which I don't always advise, but when there's safe nights, there's safe nights. The Suns as a money line piece, I would think would be one of the stronger pieces on Wednesday's board that you could throw in there.
Throw in there to help yourself out a little bit. All right. And Julian, just so we get better acquainted here, one thing that you should just know about me right away, I love unders. I love rooting against fun. I watch football games. I don't want points. I just want chaos and field goals, and I love unders. So the other pick that I like tonight is the Pistons Pacers under 211.
Market's moved in your favor.
Oh, if you got 211, you're looking great.
Yeah.
What was it right now?
It's like 206.
206 and a half.
Is it really? Yeah, I got it. Literally.
He's a sharp, everybody. I'm king over here.
I'm looking at Draftkings Sportsbook right now, and we got the money line and the spread off the board. So I'm wondering if we.
Oh, so maybe someone's out tonight, which actually would make your under even better. Now that makes the game tough to cap right now because at 10:30 a.m. Eastern, like who knows what the lineups will look like.
I've never felt better about 211. I have never felt better about 211 than I do right now. Don't know what's going on with that game, but I looked at it, and this Pacers defense is quietly, I mean, maybe not so quietly, but they're legit. I feel like not enough people are talking about the Pacers right now. They're playing good ball. Have kept their last 4 of 5 opponents to under 101 points or fewer.
Wow. That's
Pistons,
tough in the NBA to go under 100 that many straight.
One of the worst in the NBA, ranking 30th in points per game. So I think when you combine all those things and you look at the pace that the Pacers and Pistons both play at, bottom half of the league as far as pace, just the perfect recipe for an under 211, which you're not getting 211. I got 211. I don't want to hear about it. So
I'm looking around for the news and I can't find it. So
maybe it's just the movement.
Yeah, maybe you just move the number 5 points. Maybe you're that good.
We have so many people watching right now that they're just hammering 211. They're like, whoa, what's going on here?
So I don't know how you want me to. I don't know how you want me to fight you on that. I can't.
I'll follow up with this, Julian. I'll follow up with this. What we saw last night with Steph and this Warriors team. I pulled up DK this morning, and I saw that you guys are still hanging 7-1 on the Warriors to win it all. And I know the Lakers have looked a little shoddy. The Nets are obviously, they just blew them out last night. Are we miscasting this Warriors team as a third favorite when they really maybe should be on that upper echelon tier of the NBA futures market right now?
For sure. The NBA is as open as it's ever been, and the Warriors have that championship pedigree. With Steph, who's an MVP, with Draymond, who's a defensive player of the year.
Yeah. Clay's coming back at some point,
right? With Steve Kerr, who's a championship player, coach. The core is there, and Klay Thompson's going to come back, and we'll see what he is. I think Jordan Poole's been a terrific piece. He's a guy for most improved player. Ooh. That market is really loaded, a guy that you can look at. I'm hoping when Klay comes back, a lot of people think, he takes Poole's place. I'm hoping he takes more Wiggins minutes, because every time I watch one of these Warriors games, I mean, Wiggins is a great athlete, a solid player. moves his feet on defense, but like how many open threes have you watched Wiggins miss this year? If you get that lineup of as Curry, Thompson, and Poole, and now you're hitting down all those perimeter shots. If all those open threes that Wiggins seems to be bricking every night, he's like 1 of 7, are going to Poole now, you're looking pretty good. So they just have a lot of pieces. Kuminga's been more ready than people expected as a top 10 pick. The number 2 pick from last year, James Wiseman, hasn't been on the floor.
It's crazy.
He's going to come back. So like they're going to have a great mix of championship talent with these young guys. And then Kuminga and Wiseman, if they want to move either of those guys the deadline, they can. Like the
I was just going to ask you,
open.
Could you see this being a situation where they realize, hey, we got something here. Let's put some of these young guys together and let's bring it in and go for it right now. Bring in a piece.
Oh, for sure. For sure. I think they know they have something. I think they know with the injuries to Clay, with, Curry getting up there in age as a smaller player in the NBA, that, they want to maximize this window with the core that they have.
Yeah.
So if that means having some young blood in the locker room and winning with those energy pieces like Wiseman and Kuminga, that's great. But if something comes along where a team can get, 2 top 7 picks over the last couple of drafts for a piece that's going to help the Warriors more now, that's like a no-brainer for me.
Yeah. All right, let's switch gears and talk some college basketball now, because I got a couple questions for you, and I know you got some picks. We're early in the season, but are you starting to see some trends start to develop that are influencing your picks? I've kind of stayed away from college basketball, and I haven't been able to really dive in there just yet.
Yeah, and that's probably a good thing. College basketball is hard, and you can read whoever you want to read, and it's not a shot at any of the beat writers or handicappers or anything. There's a million teams.
Yeah,
we're talking about college kids. Like, we don't know who's good. You got to watch games to find out who's good. And that's one of the things I learned last night. I played Oregon -4. They're a team. A lot of people. UCLA is a hot team. A lot of people think maybe if anybody can challenge them, it's Oregon in the Pac-12. That's what I've read and heard everywhere, and they got absolutely smoked in Portland by BYU. Now that has to be, given if you see the box score of that game, that has to be a combination of Oregon being worse than we thought, BYU being better than we thought. But it is an example of just, we don't know anything this early in the season, so be careful, and you're going to be betting these games a lot heavier as the season goes on. That said, I'm still going to bet some games because there's some spots I like. So just be careful with it. I will say, so I'll get into my first play here, which is my alma mater, the Rhode Island Rams.
We've talked about this team before.
Double-edged sword. Like, when somebody's betting on where they went to school, you want to make sure that they're not being a homer. But at the same time, I'm pretty familiar with the team and familiar with A10 basketball.
Yeah.
So I feel like I have a good read here at the same time. Now I'll say I'm a person that has no problem betting against my school. Like, I've seen some URI numbers over the years where I'm like, this team is favored against Dayton, who's been like a great team in the A10. Dayton, and the Rams get mopped. So I'm trying to be objective here. I like URI -5.5 at home against Boston College. I really do. I think they're a very balanced team. They lost Fats Russell, transfer to Maryland, a really good point guard, but they have the guard depth to keep going. And what I think is the difference in this game, because BC brings back a couple of guards that are decent, is the size. I just talked about Fats Russell going to Maryland. URI got twin centers that transferred in from Maryland last year that took them a little time to get their feet wet. One of them got hurt, was out for the year. They've been great to start the season. So this team has some size, has some depth at guard, and has been doing well against, pesky BU and Bryant teams so far. BC just hasn't done anything. They've been at home against teams that they were supposed to beat, and they beat. But now they're going on the road to play some real competition. This is a team that everybody picked last in the ACC. Again, nobody knows anything, so for all we know, BC's good. But I'm going to say that they're not a very competitive team, and will have a tough time here in Kingston, Rhode Island. I think that URI gets this one by like double digits.
I love it. Market agrees with you too. I saw 6 this morning. A big trend that we've seen early on in the season, maybe the Big East, a little underrated. We saw Seton Hall last night pull off a big win against Michigan. I think Michigan's really good, but I think Seton Hall is not bad either. And another Big East team tonight gets a crack at a Big Ten team, and you like the Johnnies. And the market's moving in your favor as well with this pick. The Johnnies are in Bloomington to take on Indiana. What are you looking at with this game?
Yeah, so I played St. John's +6 when I woke up this morning. I'm seeing a 4.5 on Draftkings. There's 5s. I'm fine with it up to probably 4.5, especially if you're getting that even money like it is right now. I was on Seton Hall last night.
Nice.
The points, no money line, unfortunately, but part of that was Michigan maybe being a little overrated. Like they lost a lot. Michigan being 4 is kind of nuts in my mind. They lost a lot of talent. They bring back the big guy, Dickinson, but Seton Hall had size. Like their center's 7'2". So it worked out in their favor. This is another one. I think Indiana's a little overrated, but this isn't as much of an Indiana fade as it is just backing St. John's. St. John's is really good. And Villanova in the futures market at like -105, even money on DraftKings to win the Big East regular season was one of my bigger future bets. I think Villanova will get there. But I wouldn't be surprised at all if a team like St. John's was to challenge them and finish second in the conference. I think this team is that good. They bring back a lot of talent. They have some size. So going into Indiana, it's a tough road spot, tough building to play in. But this is one by the end of the day, I might talk myself into, putting a little dabble on the money line here. I think St. John's is
the Johnnies.
They're the real deal.
The Big East is fun to watch, man. And as someone from the New York City area, obviously, I watch a lot of Big East hoops. But man, the Big East Conference might be. When was the last time we had a Big East team win at all? Was it UConn? Right, that was the last time. I think. Yeah,
got to be UConn.
Is this a year? Maybe you see a team like Nova or St. John's or Seton Hall sneak into the Final Four and maybe surprise some people, because the Big East before the season started was not treated this way in this high regard, going on the road and beating Big Ten teams early in the year.
I mean, St. John's is a team that could have a run in it. I don't know about Final Four, but Sweet 16, that type of run.
We'd love that here in New York, that's for sure.
Right. Villanova's good. You're never going to count Villanova out. They just took UCLA down to the wire on the road to open up the season. And
wait, how can we forget about Villanova? They won it twice after.
Oh yeah, that's right.
UConn in 2014.
UConn was in the.
How can I forget about Nova? You're right. You're 100% right.
Jay Wright with the boom. How can we forget about that?
That was one of my favorite tournament finals too, with Jenkins hitting the game-winning shot.
Yeah,
awesome game. How could I forget that? You're right. That's shame on me.
Villanova, in my mind, is the only contender in the Big East. Just to finish the thought there, I guess. But I don't know.
What do you think about Michigan State? They got a tough game tonight at Butler. Another tough Big East Big Ten matchup. They're laying 2.5. What do you think about Izzo and Sparty early on in the year?
Yeah, so I did wind up as a third play, just making kind of my smallest play on Michigan State here, laying the 2.5.
Okay.
The test that they got against Kansas, I think, is huge early in the season. Now they lost by double digits, and Kansas arguably didn't even play well. But I think that speaks to how good Kansas is. I think Kansas is a great bet in the futures market to go to the Final Four to win it all, however you want to get your ticket, or split them up, or bet to win the Big 12. Like anything Kansas related, you can interest me in. I think that they're legit. So if just getting that experience in the loss for Michigan State, I think is huge. No problem with them going on the road here against Butler. Butler's okay. They're gonna be missing one of their key guys, a starter in this game. I think it just all kind of ties in to laying the points on the road. Never great this early in college basketball, but with a
short number,
more experienced team, deeper team with some transfers coming in. I do like Sparty here.
Yeah, me too.
Last question for you, then we'll wrap this up here, because we talked a lot about some smaller schools here. Do you think there's value especially early on in college basketball, taking a look at some of these smaller schools as opposed to, the big boys that maybe the books are looking at a little more closely?
I guess it depends on the market. Like, I'm not necessarily going to bet any of these smaller schools to win it all or make the Final Four, because in the end, that's probably not realistic. And unless you get a really great hedging opportunity, you're just going to wind up losing what was kind of a good thought process, a good ticket, but one that you knew was never really going to get to the finish line, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, we do it all the time. I used it as an example on an NFL show the other day. Like, you can bet Cooper Kupp to win NFL MVP if you want. This is before the Rams stunk on Monday Night Football again, but you can bet Cooper Kupp to win MVP again if you want. And it'll probably, like, if you bet it on DraftKings, you'll probably be able to cash it out at a better number come.
Yeah, make a little bit, but you're not going to win that ticket.
But he's not going to win. Like, you're just looking to sell it for more money later in the season. So that's kind of how I feel about some of these smaller teams. But I will say, let me get into the team futures market here. Conference winners. A lot of the books this year, including DraftKings, this used to be conference winner, meaning you have to win the tournament. And now they're doing a lot of
the regular season better.
Regular season.
So much better. And you ask the coaches, they matter. It matters more to them to win the regular season because it's the longer haul. So
when you take one of these futures on a conference tournament, you can slip up and lose a game and it's done. Yeah. Now you're betting on, who's going to be the better team throughout the course.
It's a truer handicap because it's the longer time horizon.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So, like, conference tournaments, I'll bet on it before the conference tournament. I don't want to bet on it.
I want to see the bracket first. And that's how I feel about betting long shots in the Final Four. I won't bet a long shot to make the Final Four until I see a bracket and I know what the road is.
Exactly. So, just going through right now, I mean, Villanova is still there at -110, going back to bigger conferences real quick to win the Big East. I love that.
It's still a good number. What's your Bonnie's number at? I saw you. You loved the Bonnies earlier.
So we're going back to the A10. I'm
love the Bonnies.
Sticking to what I know here. Not a small conference like your question kind of was, but not a big conference.
It's mid-major. It's mid-major.
Mid-major. So Bonnies were -115 when I wrote them up as my biggest future bet. It went up to 135. It's back to 120. I have no idea why. I would go after St. Bonaventure -120 hard.
Schmidt's a hell of a coach. He's unbelievable.
Schmidt coaching, you bring all 5 starters back from a team that won the regular season and conference tournament last year. You add a few transfers. They have a guy coming off their bench who started for Pitt last year now. They have a junior college transfer that shot 48% from downtown last year, coming off their bench now. They're deep. The top end talent is all back. There's no way in my mind, other than multiple serious injuries, multiple COVID battles, something like that St. Bonaventure isn't winning the Atlantic 10.
Tough to put that in your handicap though. Like that, like I don't put that in. Like, I cap the teams, and if something weird happens like that, that's just bad luck.
Well, that's the way it is. But so put it this way, I'm not capping for it, I guess, but that's the only excuse or red flag I can come up with to why St. Bonaventure is not the 1 seed in the A10.
Yeah, makes sense to me, bud.
Julian, really appreciate you hopping on with us, man.
Julian, great stuff, bro.
Have you back on soon.
Thank you guys for having me on. I'm happy to join you anytime.
Love it, man. Great insight. Great lines on DraftKings too. They're usually one of the best, especially in college hoops.
All right, and Jared, we are going to wrap this show up now with the Pickswise play of the day segment. But before we get into our personal plays, you got a 3-star play on the website that you want to give out?
Multiples. So there's 3 NBA picks. I won't give them all because I'll be honest, I have no insight to give. But our buddy Wise Guy, Matt Weisenfeld, is in agreement with Julian and myself. I'm on Michigan State tonight too. He's also on Sparty laying 2 in the hook at Butler. So it's a family play. It's an LBI, Pickswise, 3-star, Julian Edlow, Unreasonable Odds, DraftKings podcast family play tonight. Michigan State laying 2 in the hook at Butler. That is the 3-star play I will announce here on the show today.
Love it, love it, love it. My play, I am going back to what we talked about at the very beginning of the show. Fire up chips. Fire up chips. I am all in on Lou Nichols III. Give me just give the ball to Lou and fire up chips. It's all. I mean, I'm not even gonna think about it. Be the hammer, not the nail.
Fair enough. I'm going back to the ice tonight. I've been hot on the ice, actually, and I'm loving some of these puck picks. And we're going back tonight to a team we're going to fade a team that played last night and looked shaky at best, I would say. We're going to bet on a team, the Los Angeles Kings, that have been playing really well. So the Caps tonight, tough back-to-back. They were at Anaheim last night. They lost in overtime. Not only was it a back-to-back, but they had to play extra overtime game. Now they play the Kings, and I saw this line flip overnight. So the Caps were minus 130 at the open. They played last night. They lost last night. The game went to overtime last night. Now I'm seeing a pick 'em. And I just got in at the right moment, and I got the Kings at plus 105. It's pretty much minus 105, minus 110 on both sides now. I still would play it at that spot. So because the Caps played last night, it's probably going to be their backup goalie tonight, Ilya Samsonov, who has a save percentage of less than 90. He's given up almost 3 goals per game. Certainly not as good as the starter. And the Kings, they've been really hot. They're coming off a loss to the Jets, but prior to that, they had won 7 straight. They've won 4 straight games at home. They haven't lost at the Staples Center, or I guess it's now the Crypto Center. I don't know. You want to call it the Crypt? I don't know what you call this place now.
That changes today.
It changes today, right? So it's called the Crypto.com Center, the Crypto Center. They haven't lost at the Crypto Center since
they've never lost at the Crypto Center.
Yeah, that's true. They've never lost at the Crypto Center, but they haven't lost at the Staples Center, formerly known as the artist formerly known as the Staples Center, since October 28th. So we're gonna take the Kings on the money line tonight. I'm going for my 4th straight puck win on the LBI PODs. I'll be honest. I don't know. Maybe I'm a hockey sharp now. Maybe I'm not. But I like capping these hockey games, and I'm going to keep doing it as long as I keep winning, I guess. Maybe we'll go 4 in a row tonight. Go with the Kings at home against the Caps.
You may be sharp on the ice, but still 1-0. I still got my O when I get to the hockey play today.
Yeah, you got to get back into the hockey markets there.
I gotta go back in.
Get back in, man. Dive in. The water's cold. It's cold. It's cold on the ice.
Well, that will do it for us today. Make sure you download the Pickswise app, available at the Apple Store and on Google Play. Subscribe to the Pickswise YouTube channel, and let us know on social media what you think about our plays tonight. He's Jared Smith. I'm Alex Glaze.